Hello grade 3. How are you? Welcome back to our distant learning. Let us have a review before we move on to our next topic. You can get your notebook and write down your answer. What is a prayer? Let us start with the key question of our today's lesson. What actions or practices can you do to help promote respect and reverence for the dignity of your fellow being? What comes into your mind when you hear the word dignity? Yes. Dignity refers to person's worth or honor. A dignified person acts in accordance to the man's standard. As a gift of God, every human life is sacred from conception of natural death. The life and dignity of a person must be respected and protected at every stage and in every condition. The right to life is the first and most fundamental principle of human rights. Respect for human dignity is embodied in the following principles. 1. Human life is sacred. Because the human person is the most central and clearest reflection of God among us. 2. Human beings have transcendent worth and value that comes from God. This dignity is not based on any human quality, legal mandate or individual merit or accomplishment. 3. Human dignity is inalienable. It means that it is an essential part of every human being. 4. Human beings are qualitatively different from any other living beings in the world. Because they are capable of knowing and loving God, unlike any other creatures. There are threats to human dignity. They are the following. 1. The inhumane treatment of workers. When we say inhumane, it means being heartless or cruel. Workers are treated like machines or tools for production and not as human beings. 2. Severe economic depression worldwide and growing social injustice. 3. Extreme poverty and global hunger are becoming widespread. Growing number of poor, especially women and children, the elderly and the handicapped, are being ignored or exploited. Another threats to human dignity are: the widening gap between the poor and the rich is problematic for the realization of human dignity. And number 5, the question of development has become more pressing. Some of the rich exploit the resources at the expense of the welfare of the poor, who are usually the victims of calamities. Human rights and human dignity. Human rights are the basic standards that human beings need to live a life of freedom and dignity. Human rights are the rights that all people have simply because they are human beings. Human rights are inalienable, it cannot be denied, and it is also indivisible, cannot be divided. Human rights are equally important. Human rights are protected when all individuals are treated with respect, when all voices are heard, and when discrimination is absent. However, discrimination is common all over the world. Discrimination means unfair treatment, especially among the poor. Even though the Universal Declaration of Human Rights recognizes the inherent dignity and equal and inalienable rights of all the members of the human family, people living in poverty obvious and subtle kind discrimination. When people live in poverty and lack the money to buy food and clothing, live in unsafe and inadequate housing, when they cannot access preventive and emergency medical care, their human rights are being violated. Living in poverty also affects other human rights. Children in poverty are less likely to receive quality education. Poor communities are more likely to be affected by pollution and environmental distraction. People in poverty often face discrimination and lack the power and resources to participate in making decisions affecting their own lives. Human beings are different from any other living things in the world because humans are capable of knowing and loving God. The belief in the dignity of human person is the foundation of morality. There are 6 moral values in respecting human dignity. 1. Love of God and neighbor. God calls every person to share in his love through a life of faith, hope, and charity. 2. Respect for life. The true dignity yet fragility of our lives as human is in learning to respect everyone's life and to truly care for one another. To care for our own life and the lives of others does God entrust a moral responsibility to us. 3. Respect for gender. We are created according to God's image precisely as male and female. 4. Respect for authority. Parents should be respected too as well as other persons in authority like government officials, teachers, and other elderly. 5. Respect for truth. It involves much more than telling the truth or avoiding verbal offense or lying. Without truth we cannot develop authentically as human beings are different from any other living things in the world because humans are capable of knowing and loving God. The belief in the dignity of human person is the foundation of morality. There are 6 moral values in respecting human dignity. 1. Love of God and neighbor. Here are some examples of how people try to live according to man's standard. As a person you can do similar or simple thing in order to live a dignified life. That's all for today, grade 3. I hope you learned from our lesson. Don't forget to answer the formative assessment in your small group.